good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on when you're watching this. Sir Owen Disney here, and we're going to discuss TNA Impact that happened last night, actually. And I want to get into what happened, but I do want to mention something that I just saw on the internet really, 15 minutes ago. And I wanted to bring it up. I know this is TNA time. Obviously, we're going to talk TNA in just a few minutes. But if you get a chance to check it out, Zack Ryder actually might be doing another internet show, another YouTube show. Maybe not Z True Long Island Story, maybe it's something completely different. I mean, we start out with the beginning of Z True Long Island Story and the storylines that have gone through Zack Ryder's career. Obviously, winning the United States Championship at TLC and the entire crowd going nuts for him, to the point that The Rock put him over on the microphone. I think it was Survivor Series. Yeah, it was Survivor Series, actually. It was right after, that was the big thing before TLC, actually. And, obviously, Team Teddy at WrestleMania got kicked in the nuts by Eve Torres. And he got thrown off the stage, the rampway, by Kane when he was in a wheelchair in a hellacious bump, and then he got decimated by Ryback and thrown into an ambulance. So at the end of this, we see Zack Ryder in black and white, and he's standing at the fence, and he's going to try this. He says, "Let's try this again." Zack Ryder coming back to YouTube. I have no problem with this. It's going to be awesome. So let's talk about that. And once again, like I said, I will be doing more Orlando-style segments in the near future. We're going to be talking about Diagon Alley and the Harry Potter expansion, King's Cross Station, Gringotts Bank, all the different things that are coming to Universal, and I'll be able to talk about that soon. There was just a price increase for tickets, actually. The annual pass went up, and all the annual pass options, Preferred, Premier, and Power, all went up. So, the follow suit, they basically brought up the regular ticket prices. So, Universal struck the first blow, actually. They are the first person to offer a $100 ticket in Orlando. So, obviously, with SeaWorld opening Antarctica, and it looks phenomenal. I cannot wait for Antarctica. And I really want to try this this vanilla cream soda Coke deal that they've got specifically at the location. I think it's Wild Arctic Chill, something like that. It sounds amazing, and I'm really excited for it to be awesome. And obviously, Disney is going to follow suit as well, so you're going to see every single theme park in Orlando, save Legoland, obviously. It is the one no one ever thinks about, obviously. Legoland is getting, they just got the Star Wars mini land, they got the Legend of Chima supposedly coming very soon, if it hasn't already. I don't know much about Legoland, and obviously stuff like Busch Gardens doesn't count because it's in Tampa. That's a segue, folks. It really is. Excuse me. So basically, Universal struck the first blow with the new Simpsons expansion opening this summer, with Transformers opening before the month is over, soft opening wider on the middle of June is what it looks like. June 20th is what I keep hearing, so I don't know if it's true or not. I'll have to find out, and if you guys know, obviously let me know, and most likely I'll look anyway, but even though I'm an annual pass holder, I kind of live here for the time being, so I can't really go over to Universal anytime I want and check out the soft open for Transformers, but if I could, I would, without any question. So, there's that coming up. That's the reason why Universal raised ticket prices. Obviously, Diagon Alley is definitely going to be a big reason why Universal raised ticket prices. We got Cabana Beach Resort, the value-style resort, coming to Universal Orlando Resort Complex as well, joining Hard Rock, Portofino, and the Royal Pacific. So, that's going to be really cool. A value-style hotel. Not going to get all the same amenities you would get at the big three at Universal, but still, you'll be able to get some of them. And like I said, Disney has got James Cameron basically calling them night and day, trying to figure out how they're going to get this Avatar land worked out. And if it's really going to be like a Soarin', souped-up version of Soarin', this ride over Pandora that I keep hearing about. It's going to be a smaller area than we anticipated. It's pretty much is going to be the size of Camp Mini Mickey. And that's the reason why Festival of Lion King is being shipped off to another part of the park. So they're looking into that right now. Over by Tusker House, actually, is where Festival of the Lion King is going to end up. Like, right behind it, I believe. Like I said, I haven't checked lately, so I could be wrong about that. I know it's in that area, but I don't recall, so there's always that. But let's talk TNA. And you know, tonight it asked a lot of questions. It answered a few, and it asked a whole lot more. And we started off the show, which was live for the first time in Florida for Impact since leaving the Impact Zone. Obviously, the last time they were at the Impact Zone were the last tapings of the One Night Only pay-per-views. And I think the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view might have been the last one. I think that was the last one. I'm not positive off the top of my head. There was a lot of interesting superstars that showed up at the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view that a lot of people wanted to see in TNA and didn't want to see in TNA, just depending on how you look at it. So, that's interesting. But I like to call this promo to start the show, Hulk Returns Home. So he comes out and he basically says that he went to the Hogan Beach Shop, brother, and he is talking about how he had to take off some edge, so he threw back a couple cold ones at Hogan's Beach, which is his restaurant complex in Tampa. Hogan went to school in Tampa. Hogan was discovered by Jack and Jerry Briscoe in Tampa, and Hogan was, of course, broken in the business by Hiro Matsuda in Tampa. So Hogan's got a lot of connection to Tampa, Florida. And basically, he name drops the fact that he ran into Shark Boy, of all people, which is an interesting person to bring up, and it's interesting foreshadowing for the rest of the evening. So, will Shark Boy show up tonight? We're about to find out. So, basically, we had a nice little promo. He says, you know what, it doesn't matter, AJ Styles, you made your decision, you don't matter anymore. What matters is the family, and the family is the roster of TNA Wrestling. And that being said, he's going to bring out Sting. Now, Hogan says he appreciates everything Sting has done and appreciates the fact that he's willing to go toe-to-toe with Bully Ray, but he really doesn't have to go through with the stipulation that if he loses, he can never get another World Heavyweight Championship shot due to the fact that, you know, Hogan's the boss. So obviously, he's not going to really go for it. Sting says the title and the power is in Boston. He kind of stumbles over his words a bit, but he covers it up slightly. He says if he can't win, then he doesn't deserve to be World Heavyweight Champion again. So at this point, Brooke comes out very strangely, and, you know, she says neither of you should take any blame. She was the stupid, dumb girl that fell for the bad boy. If I had $1 for every time that's happened in life. Anyway, so basically, she puts over her work with the Knockouts division. Obviously, she's in charge of it. She's very proud of every single person on the roster. But she feels like she's pretty much ruined everything. If it wasn't for this stuff and her falling for Bully Ray, then maybe TNA wouldn't be in the shambles it's in right now, and probably Aces and Eights wouldn't be on top of the company. Or so it seems. So because she believes she ruined everything, she is throwing in her resignation for the Knockouts division leader. So Bully Ray comes out at this point in a very somber moment. He goes, "Why are you all taking the blame? Everyone knows it's not your fault. It's not Hogan's fault that he doesn't know how to run a company. It's not Sting's fault that Bully stabbed him in the back. And it's not it's Bully's fault. All of this is Bully's fault. Because Bully is the charging force behind the Aces and Eights, and they're the reason why TNA is in shambles right now. They flipped this company completely upside down. He runs the show, Jack." Hogan calls, he used the word Jack early on in the promo, so Bully's turning against him, obviously. He says, "Brooke, you're the only one in this ring that can take any blame. Do you know what? Because you made me fall for you." She's always on his mind, day in, day out. They have this connection between the two of them, and he says, literally, he still loves Brooke. Brooke is left dumbfounded in the ring, as is Sting and Hulk Hogan, obviously. And he says he always will, and that's why he's never taking his ring off. Then he leaves. Interesting promo, interesting way to start off the show. And for those of you that don't like the soap opera content, in quote marks, obviously, soap opera content TNA is throwing out at the beginning of this, you know, this was a really good impact, a really good way to storyline progression, and that's what we're always looking for. WWE has got a problem sometimes with storyline progression. They kind of are dead in the water most of the time, but this time TNA really showcased exactly what makes them different. And we started off the first match with the three-way dance to determine who was going to get the final spot in the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship between Kenny King defending the championship against Chris Sabin, as well as the winner of this match. Now, first off, Magnum Joey Ryan comes to the ring, and of course he's replacing the injured Zema Ion, who now has an appendicitis, and he's out for the foreseeable future. Get well, Shima. And looking forward to see you back in the ring soon. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, Joey Ryan's actually a really good cruiserweight-style wrestler if he wants to be. And this match actually proved it. Joey Ryan stepped in the ring, taking Zema Ion's spot against Maple Leaf Muscle, Petey Williams, as well as the return of Suicide. And I haven't looked yet, and I'll probably be able to bring it up next week on Impact's review. I don't know who's portraying Suicide. Last time I checked, it was Kiyoshi. But he may or may not have been released from the company. I'm not exactly sure. It could have been Daniels. It could have been Kazarian. I couldn't really tell. It could be someone completely different. It could be one of the gut check guys. I don't really know. But Suicide came out. It was a decent match for what it was. Very spotty, but most X Division matches are. So Suicide hits a diving Rana on Joey Ryan. Locks on an Indian Deathlock the same time that he hooks up an abdominal stretch on Petey Williams. A really nice maneuver there. So, Petey with a Suicide dive, and Suicide comes off the apron with a somersault planche onto both men. So, there's a powerbomb, it's reversed into a Suicide Sunset Flip. Canadian Destroyer is attempted, but it's broken with Ryan hitting a Yakuza kick right to the side of the head. So, Suicide hits a nice leaping neck breaker on Joey Ryan. Okay, I'll have to describe this to you, because this finish is awesome. Okay, they hook the arms behind, kind of like how the Glam Slam goes. Like, they're set up for a Tiger Suplex. He picks him up in the air, and then he drops backwards. And when he drops backwards, he throws the knees out, and it's like, I guess it would be like a double, it'd be like a double chicken wing, double underhook, like, I'm trying to think how I want to put this. It's like a Tiger Suplex position, and bend back. When you take the bump, you take it, and it's pretty much lands like a lung blower, but it's reversed because it lands on the gut. So it's like a double knees gut buster. It looked awesome, and I'm really happy to see that a unique finish was utilized for Suicide in his return. And I'm very happy to see that he is actually going to Slammiversary, unlike I believed otherwise, and he's going to be facing off against X Division Kingpin Kenny King, as well as the returning Chris Sabin. So that was pretty good. Speaking of Chris Sabin actually shows up talking to the Cowboy James Storm and says, I hear you're looking for a partner, and you know about my tag team experience, the Motor City Machine Guns. They pretty much ruled TNA, the nice feud with Beer Money. Oh my god, if you guys haven't seen Beer Money against the Machine Guns in TNA, check them out. There is actually a DVD that TNA has out, and I totally recommend it. It's the best matches of Beer Money and the Motor City Machine Guns. So you get your Bobby Roode, you get your James Storm, you get your Alex Shelley, and you get your Chris Sabin all on one DVD set. So check it out if you get a chance to. It's definitely worth it. So basically, James Storm goes, you know what? You've got a golden opportunity. You got kind of like a golden ticket. You have a chance to become something greater, to become X Division Champion. Then turn that X Division Championship in for a World Heavyweight title match, thus potentially becoming World Heavyweight Champion, kind of like what Austin Aries did. That's how he got the World Heavyweight Championship from Bobby Roode. But, you know, that's the reason why I have to decline. I understand. I thank you for your interest in becoming my tag team partner, but you know what? I'm going to have to go a different direction. So they shake hands, everything's all completely good, so it's okay. So Brooke shows up with Bully, and she, like, berates him right off the top, says, I want to know what you mean. What you mean by what you said out in the ring. And Bully's like, I don't understand how it's not spelled clearly as a bell. It's the fact that I'm still in love with you. So she kind of storms away. We come out to see Mickie James and Velvet Sky. Velvet's getting ready for the Knockouts title defense against Mickie James later on the show. Mickey's like, you know what? Maybe we want to take this off. Maybe you don't want to wrestle tonight. Obviously, you're not 100%. You're not thinking clearly, and you're at a disadvantage. Velvet's like, you know, that would make Gail so happy to know that she's the reason why I lost the Knockouts Championship, and I'm not going to let her get that satisfaction. So tonight we're going to face off in the ring, and let's rock. I'm ready. So that's going to be coming up later on in the show. So, earlier on, like last week, we had a gut check match between Brian Cage and Jay Bradley. And what it is the Bound for Glory series. This is actually very prestigious, obviously. The winner will go on to Bound for Glory in October to wrestle for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's just how it works. Now, here's the thing. This year, TNA is doing something totally different. They're taking the gut check competitors, 4 specific gut check competitors, having them face off in matches, and the winners of those 2 matches will go on to Slammiversary to face off to become the gut check participant for Bound for Glory series. So, you get a really good golden ticket right off the top. And Jay Bradley didn't face Brian Cage. I don't know why I said that. That was the guy he faced earlier on. He actually defeated Christian York in an extreme upset during that match. And it's actually a pretty decent match. So we had Sam Shaw taking on Alex Silva. So Shaw comes out. And instead of Alex Silva's music, we hear the Aces and Eights themes. And Wes Briscoe comes out. And he says, well, Wes, Garrett, and Doc, they all come out. And he's like, you need to thank me. You need to thank me right now for beating Alex Silva down. You can check in the back. He's not going anywhere. He's down. He's out for the count. But you know what? I don't understand why I'm not in this tournament. And I'm going to prove to you right now why I should be. So they all get in the ring. There's a 3-way attack on Sam Shaw. And basically there's a really awesome move from Wes Briscoe. He does a swing neck breaker, and he turns it, and he goes for the reverse neck breaker, but instead of laying out with it like you normally would, or sitting out with it like Ravishing Rick Rude would, he actually lays out on the knee, so that actually looked really good. And pretty much at that point, Magnus comes down for the save. He says, I don't like this situation one bit. Apparently, we didn't know this, but Sam Shaw and Magnus trained together with Harley Race, so Magnus didn't forget the attack that Aces and Eights dealt on them with the forklift truck and ramming it into the side of his head. And he wants some retribution, and he's going to have it tonight as he's going to face Wes Briscoe, and he wants that match right now. So we get right to that match right away, and there is a whip and nice spinning back elbow and reverse chinlock locked on. 3 elbows out, and Wes clubs him right in the back. So there's a clothesline out of the corner, and Magnus hits the rebound lariat, very Nigel McGuinness style. And there's a body press off the middle rope. It's reversed into the pickup into the vertical suplex. Kind of like a Falcon Arrow, but not exactly, because it didn't sit out with it. He just laid back with it. So Magnus goes for this top rope elbow, and it gets reversed. Well, actually gets stopped, and there's a DDT, and he fights out of it. So Doc gets up on the apron. He gets kicked off, knocked to the outside. Garrett attacks right in front of the referee, so he calls for the bell. There's a nice beat down on Magnus momentarily. Then Samoa Joe makes his return to TNA and makes the save for his former tag team championship partner. So it's not announced yet, but I have a feeling there's a very good chance we're going to see Joe and Magnus against Wes and Garrett at Slammiversary. If it's not announced next week, I'm going to be really shocked, to be totally honest. So that's fine. So we see Team 3D in the back, and this is the only time I'll use the term team, because the team actually works here. So 3D's in the back, and Devon just wants to talk. Bully says, you know, I don't want to talk any personal business. Now, AJ will definitely be here later, and despite recent disappointments, the camera pans over to D'Lo, which is funny, AJ won't let them down, I guarantee you. So, we get the next match, and it's Mr. Anderson defending the honor of Aces and Eights against the Olympic gold medalist, the Cyborg Kurt Angle. And right before this match, we see AJ Styles ride up, Emo Styles riding the Bat Cycle, and that's pretty much his entrance into the building. So there's a high-velocity whip into the buckles for a nice near fall. There's a short arm into the shoulder thrust, you know, the Scott Hall-style shoulder thrust. Twice into it, locks in a hammer lock, does Mr. Anderson. He mocks Kurt Angle, and Angle ends up fighting him out of the corner. Anderson cuts him off and ends up getting a near fall out of it. Locks on the arm bar. He's working on the tender arm. The arm was tenderized earlier on in the match because he actually hit the shoulder into the ring post earlier on before I started calling this match. So that's basically what happened. So there's a nice arm drag. Angle hits a middle rope missile drop kick, which doesn't really connect very well. It connects enough to drop him and almost get something out of it. There's a nice double down. 2 clotheslines. Angle gets caught. Angle catches him with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex and still gets a near fall out of it. So Anderson hits the Finley roll, which is the somersault, the fireman's carry, depending on how you want to call it. Gets a 2 count out of that. Goes for the mic check. He gets elbowed out of it. And ankle hits the rolling Germans, 3 in succession with the release. Goes for the ankle lock, and mic check out of nowhere for a 2 count. So Angle kicks out right at the nick of time. Anderson goes to the top rope for finishing off Kurt Angle once and for all. He gets caught, overhead release, belly-to-belly superplex right off the top. He drops the straps, and we know what's going to happen. AJ shows up at ringside for the distraction, hugs Taz, and just long enough for Mr. Anderson right between the uprights, and hooks the tights in 1, 2, 3. And AJ just simply walks away, because his work is done. So, interesting foreshadowing for the rest of the evening. So, we come back, and Gail Kim is talking about how she took out Velvet Sky. She took out Taryn Terrell, and she even took out her own tag team partner, Tara. She wants to know why she is not involved in the Knockouts title match at Slammiversary. And you know what? There is no Knockouts title match at Slammiversary. So, she has no argument. At this point, basically, Taryn Terrell just attacks her from behind, and they brawl in the back, basically, like going over tables and the walls and everything, and Gail Kim yells she's crazy as she runs out of the picture. So we're going to see Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell face off in another grudge match at Slammiversary. I don't have a problem with this. This is the segment of the night, and this is really interesting to talk about. So, right, we see a video package, a really awesome, I think David Sahadi video package of the Cowboy James Storm in his career. The fact he's an 11-time former World Tag Team Champion. That's NWA and TNA World Tag Team Champion, that depending on how you look at it. We have highlights from America's Most Wanted and Beer Money. And at this point, the Cowboy comes out, and he says last week he was granted a shot at the World Tag Team titles, and he just had to pick a partner. But before he gets started, we see the Dirty Heels come out. Austin Aries, the most hated man in the locker room, as well as the It Factor, Bobby Roode. So Bobby talks about tag team wrestling. He calls himself the king of tag team wrestling. 4 years that they spent together as Beer Money was the worst time of his whole life and his whole wrestling career. The night he broke that beer bottle, shattered it over James Storm's head, basically it made him the happiest person on earth. At this point, Bad Influence comes out, and Kaz and Daniels are the normal jovial, funny selves, and basically they says, do you know that time that Dumps, Lumps, and Humps thought they were better? It's kind of a joke in there. And called Chavo and Hernandez the luckiest team in all of Mexico. And the Dirty Heels just couldn't get the job done. And you know what? Whomever you pick tonight, they're not going to live up to anything. They're not going to end up living up to the best tag team in the business. So, at this point, we hear some very familiar music that we haven't heard in a long time. And Shark Boy comes out, and he gets in the ring. So, basically Shark Boy, and it's basically Shark Boy doing the Steve Austin gimmick, which I know Will's going to love this. And, I forgot to tell him about Shark Boy. Whoops. So he comes out, and he says, "A little fishy told me." I wish Will was here, because he could do the Austin impersonation. I can't do it. Storm was looking for a partner, so they both love fishing and drinking cold beer and kicking some bass. At this point, Robbie E comes out, and this is very strange. He's like, "Newsflash, bro. Storm doesn't want to team with a loser like you. He wants to team with someone who's going to help make him a champion, and that's Robbie E. Look at this. For 2 years, I carried Rob Terry, bro. This is the South meets the North. And you know what? I've got some tag team names in mind. This is good to go. How about Beer Bro? Or maybe, instead of Beer Money, like I said, Beer Bro. Or, not America's Most Wanted, how about America's Most Bro? Or Jim Tan Beer Bro. That'll work. Or Two Bros and a Baby. They just need another bro. And one of my personal favorites, Drunken Tan. And the final one, Hairspray and Drink All Day. Going to be like a theme song, Hairspray and Drink All Day. And instead of getting Super Kick, which I pretty much figured was going to happen, someone very strange shows up. Gunner. Really interesting to see him, to be totally honest. He shows up, he lays out both Robbie E and Shark Boy. Shark Boy's down, he locks Robbie E in the torture rack, and he gets right up in James Storm's face, and Storm takes off his glasses and goes, "I'll see you at Slammiversary," and he shakes his hand. So, we were thinking about what we're going to get. We didn't know exactly who the tag team partner was going to be of James Storm. A lot of people were saying it was going to be Wildcat Chris Harris and an AMW reunion at Slammiversary, which made perfect sense. But TNA actually threw a wild card at us, and you know, I don't mind this Gunner Storm tag team. So, not bad. Not bad at all. TNA, kudos to you guys. Kudos. So, apparently Sting comes back, and he's talking to Joseph Park, and they do a lot of insider terms back and forth. It still makes me laugh, I'm sorry. And he says, you know what, next week, I've got Bully Ray and Devon, and I got a partner. And I was like, I always want you to see if you can ask Abyss to show up, and we can team up. And he's like, you know, I don't really talk to my brother. I haven't in a long time. And Sting's like, okay, fine. Well, how about someone that's close to Abyss? How about you? How about next week it's Sting and Joseph Park against 3D? So, Joseph Park accepts, and that's the match we're going to get next week. And you know what? Again, I don't have a problem with this. At this point, we announced the current card for Slammiversary, June 2nd, at the, I don't know how to pronounce it, Agassiz, or Gassis. Either way, it's in Boston. And right now, we've got Bully Ray against Sting with the World Heavyweight title on the line in a no-holds-barred match. We've got the World Tag Team titles on the line as Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Hernandez defend against Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, and Frankie Kazarian, Bad Influence, as well as the Dirty Heels, the It Factor Bobby Roode, and the greatest man who ever lived, Austin Aries, as well as the new tag team of the Cowboy James Storm and Gunner. You're also going to see the one-on-one battle with Kurt Angle against the phenomenal AJ Styles. You're going to see Joseph Park get a shot at Devon's World Television Championship. And you're also going to see Gail Kim in a grudge match against Taryn Terrell. And the match for the X Division Championship, it's going to be Ultimate X, as Kenny King will defend against Chris Sabin and Suicide. So yeah, I'm telling you right now, Slammiversary looks awesome. And that's probably not the whole card. Speaking of that, so we get our next match of the evening, which I'm guessing we're gonna call this the main event of the evening. I'd like to call this the Juliet Danielle segment of the evening. Hi Juliet, how you doing? And Mickie James taking on Velvet Sky for the Knockouts Championship. So they trade forearms left and right, and Mickie locks on a full Nelson. She swings with it. She drops down into a regular full Nelson, kind of grinds it in. Now there's two clotheslines and a spinning back elbow on Mickie James. Kick, then the chop, and then reverse whips, and then they just kind of like botched back and forth. They kind of paused, and they looked like they went for the satellite head scissors, and they kind of landed on top, and then they kind of just like went back and forth. They jawed back and forth. It looked really terrible on live television, and we got into the Big Apple leg sweep, which is what we're looking for. Another satellite head scissors from Velvet Sky works really well, but her knee goes out. So Mickie James thinks about it a second, and then Pillman clips the knee, and instead of her Mickie DT, we see her just hit a grounded DDT, like Miz style, and gets the pin off that. So a very anticlimactic win for Mickie James, and I'm very happy to see, and I'm sure Andy Knowles is very happy to see Mickie James as the Knockouts champion. So hopefully we're going to be seeing some great wrestling matches in the Knockouts division. I like Velvet, I really do. She's obviously not too bad to look at, to be totally honest. Chris Sabin, you're a lucky man, sir. But no, what I basically want to say is she's a good babyface for the company, but she's not Trish Stratus. And I know she's trying to be, I mean, obviously not trying to be, but she would be TNA's version of Trish Stratus, if I had to guess. But, because Trish was god-awful when she first started. Look what she became. But Velvet, I mean, she's getting it slowly but surely, but this kind of match, I mean, this is just like one step forward and like 15 steps back. I mean, it wasn't very good, and I'll be totally honest, I mean, the match was not good at all. And Mickie was leading towards that heel turn I keep talking about, and when she clipped the knee out from under her, like, the crowd somewhat booed her a little bit, and instead of, with ODB checking on her after the match was over, she left the ring. So, that's what we got with that. So, on top of this, we get Aces and Eights in the back for the final segment before the final segment of the evening, the final backstage segment of the night. Ask D'Lo if he washed the bikes, if he got the ice, if Mr. Anderson got his beer, and they want to toast to Mr. Anderson for beating Kurt Angle and stepping up when other people's didn't. Of course, pan over to D'Lo. And he wants to toast to AJ Styles for being the newest member of the Aces and Eights. That's the final segment of the evening. So everyone in the group comes out to the ring. We are the Aces and Eights. We do what we want, when we want. Nobody is greater than anybody else in this group. We're all equals. We're a strong unit. We run TNA. D'Lo screwed up, but he was a disappointment. However, Mr. Anderson took the world by the you-know-whats and crushed it. Everyone in Aces and Eights, especially the World Heavyweight Champion, are very proud of him. But you know what? Tonight isn't about anybody in Aces and Eights. It's not about Bully Ray himself. It's about one man, and that is AJ Styles. So he's like, AJ, come to the ring. So AJ comes out, emo Styles, and Devon holds the ropes for him. And Bully's like, you should understand that that was one of the biggest show of respect I could have done with having my brother hold the ropes for you. But you know what? I'm going to have you do something real quick that you're not expecting me to do. Everybody wanted you. Hulk Hogan wanted you. Fortune wanted to reform just so they can bring you back into the fold. But you know what? You decided that you wanted something better. You wanted to be where the action is, where the power lies within the entire company. So, what I want you to do right now is, I know you don't drink, even though obviously for storyline purposes, we know when he became emo Styles, his wife said in the vignette that he was drinking. Anyway, I want you to toast with me and drink with me right here in this ring as a sign of solidarity for the brotherhood of the Aces and Eights. So AJ does it. And in a great line that I'm sure sounds extremely blasphemous, but my God, Bully Ray is a hell of a heel by saying this. You may give your heart to Jesus, but your soul belongs to the club. My God, that's a heel statement. God, I love Bully Ray. One of the best heels in the company. And the best heels in the wrestling business, period, right now. So AJ chugs the beer, and Mr. Anderson has the cut, and AJ grabs it. Anderson's like, okay, I'll put it on for you. And he wears it on, he puts it on, and the fans start chanting, you sold out. So Anderson puts it on, and at this point, Kurt Angle comes out. He's like, you know, I have to see, I knew this was going to happen sooner rather than later, but you know what, I had to see it with my own two eyes. Your legacy, everything that you worked for during the entire duration of this company just went down the toilet. And go ahead, you can go ahead and patch in with this scumbag group, but know that I'm coming for you at Slammiversary. If this is what you want, and AJ doesn't answer. Bully says, yeah, this is what he wants, and he's like, no. I don't want your answer, I want AJ's answer. And at this point, AJ starts hugging Bully, and he hugs Anderson, Devon. And at this point, Doc from the ramp attacks Angle from behind, knocking him back in the ring. So Doc and Nux hold him up for Angle to destroy him with the hammer. And basically, he takes the hammer, he pops Angle in the patella, and Angle goes down. They celebrate together. Angle's laying in a prone position on the canvas. And AJ is doing the Aces and Eights hand gesture. Well, at this point, everybody turns around. AJ still has the hammer. So he nails Doc in the head, hits Garrett, and he powders to the back, makes his AJ Styles hand gesture, and reveals that he is out for nobody but himself. That's how we end the show. Good God, TNA was awesome tonight. I'm telling you right now, and you can say what you want about the soap opera style of the opening, but it made sense. It shows that Bully still has a heart, even though it's black as night. I don't mind Joey Ryan in the ring with the X Division. I think it fits pretty well. Suicide made a great showing tonight, and I'm really interested to see him in Ultimate X against Chris Sabin and Petey Williams, depending on who's under the mask. I don't know exactly who it is. And I like the fact that James Storm was the biggest commodity in the company. Everybody wanted to know who James Storm was going to pick as a partner. Obviously, Shark Boy was told no, and Robbie E was told no. Chris Sabin was told no, and we finally get to Gunner, which is very strange, but you know what? I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all. We see Mickie James showing more heelish tendencies when she clips out Velvet Sky's knee when she didn't have to, and she leaves the ring instead of with the championship instead of checking on Velvet while she was laying prone on the canvas, holding her knee. We saw, I don't know what's going on with the TNA gut check match with Sam Shaw versus Alex Silva. I don't know if that means that Shaw wins by forfeit, or they get someone else, or they do that match next week. I don't know, because I'm not reading spoilers. I know it was taped. I like Magnus and Joe back in the mix again. I like that tag team a lot, and I think they will be facing off against Garrett and Wes at Slammiversary if they don't face off with them on Impact next week. Again, I don't want to find out. Mr. Anderson gets a nice win over Kurt Angle. Cheap as it may be, it's still prolonged storyline and builds up to Angle against AJ at Slammiversary, and again, I have no problems with that. I really liked how everything was worked. Next week, we're going to see Sting and Joseph Park take on Bully Ray and Devon. That's going to be awesome. And there's so much stuff that's going on in TNA right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, a great time to be a wrestling fan here on Pop, with all the recaps we give you every single week. Tuesday for WWE Monday Night Raw. Friday, we have TNA Impact. And Saturday night, we have NXT and WWE SmackDown. So, obviously, all the pay-per-views will be covered. I'm definitely going to be giving my Slammiversary picks after Impact next week. And we're going to be talking Slammiversary on Monday next week. So, we're really looking forward to it. So, if you're a wrestling fan and you enjoy Pop and you're a member of the Popcaster Revolution, whether you're a viewer or you're a contributor, then you're going to have a great time. So, on that note, once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for everything, actually. You've been more than gracious to us and letting us say whatever we wanted to say here on social networks and this media. Very happy to be a part of this, and very happy that I decided to shoot that video in November last year and just start this whole shindig out. So we've come a long way in a very short amount of time. So the sky's the limit, folks. It really is. So if you like these videos, thumbs them up, do comment, do subscribe, do tell your friends to do the same. Want to follow me on Twitter? You can, at SirOwenDisney. You want to help join the Popcaster Revolution, be a Popcaster yourself, or throw us a review? You can. Send me an email at SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.